Hello everyone and welcome to my office. This is where the majority of your videos are going to be recorded for the semester. Welcome to COM 350. Did I promise you a video yesterday? Yes. Did I absolutely forget? Absolutely. Normally I only teach on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which brings me to the most important thing I'm going to tell you, well, in the next 5 minutes, which is I will be communicating with you on Tuesdays and Thursdays. In addition, the best way to get a hold of me is actually to email, and if you don't hear from me within 24 hours, perhaps send me a text message and let me know. If there's anything ever missing or you need to ask me an urgent question, please do text. I know that sounds weird, but it is the fastest way to get my attention, and I can fix things really quickly with a text message, whereas my emails, I might or might not get to it that day. So if it's something more urgent, please let me know. So in COM 350, what is it that we're going to do for the next 16 weeks together here? Well, we've got a few things on our agenda. Some of you have read the syllabus, and I thank you for doing that. If you have read the syllabus, then you see our schedule. Our reading schedule is tough, but your book is on Streamlined. If you buy the book, it's incredibly heavy as well as expensive. So I recommend using the Streamlined version if you can. It is also where I will get the page numbers when I talk about the different theorists and their works that we are reading and concentrating on for that particular day. So I would like us to be as on the same page literally and metaphorically as we can be. So just so you know, I'll be using the Streamlined edition. However, due to the fact that we have these authors and their specific works, and I put those in the syllabus, you should be able to find your way around no matter what edition of the book you're using, or if you're using an online digital version or a paper version. So feel free to do whatever you'd like with that. I know it's not a cheap book and it's not easy to read, and we're not reading half of it because we would never have the time for that. But there is a heavy reading schedule, and hopefully it's clear enough for you on the schedule, on the syllabus. Let me know if there's any problems with that at all. So why do we make you take COM 350? I know that there have been a lot of horror stories about it, and honestly, I don't feel bad about that. There is a little bit of horror in it, in the sense that your book is the best cure for insomnia that I've ever met. And I say that with love for the book. It's the book I've been using for a very long time. Newest editions. I think I've been through 4, which is just a lot for me. Anyway, the reason why we use the same book is because it gives us the best selection of edited works from the theorists that we're interested in studying. This goes all the way back to Plato and Aristotle. I don't know if you figured this out, but none of their work has changed, right? And so the only thing that's really changed each edition is there have been some new add-ons. A couple of things have been removed here and there, but the book that you have right now takes us all the way through right now in our timeline. We will cover from Aristotle about 432 BCE or BC, however you want to word that. I don't know what's appropriate anymore, BC and AD or BCE and CE. And we will go all the way up to and including the past decades. So you will be reading works from authors who are still alive and walking around, and some that may have never existed, and that's okay. Why is that okay? What's so important about the word rhetoric? I don't know about you, but I've heard it's been thrown around everywhere. Between the RNC and the DNC, there has just been the word rhetoric fur flying, right? And it always means lying, empty language, meaningless language, or propaganda. And I'm here to tell you that it's none of those things. In fact, today, your first lesson is, what definition of rhetoric are we going to work with? Because there's thousands. And the answer is simple. We're going back to the classics, literally. The definition of rhetoric that we are going to use in this class, and I'd advise you to learn it, is Aristotle's, and it is the art or skill of knowing in any particular instance all the means of persuasion. There's 3 parts to this definition that Rhetoric is an art or skill of understanding or of knowing. The second part is all the means of persuasion, and the third part is in any specific instance. Now, I don't care what order you put those in, what words you use for those, but if you have those three concepts, you can answer the question, what is the definition of rhetoric for Aristotle? Now, why is that important? Because we don't start reading Aristotle immediately, and the answer is that it gives us a baseline for what our course of study is going to be for the next several weeks. The art or skill of knowing, in any particular instance, all the means of persuasion. When we start reading, we're going to start actually prior to Aristotle, prior to Plato. We're going to actually start with Gorgias. And he is going to demonstrate for us the first real written, preserved piece of rhetoric or commentary on rhetoric that we have. And it's a short read. It shouldn't be difficult for you at all. It's a eulogy. It's a eulogy to Helen of Troy, if anybody knows who that is. In the Greek mythos, then you'll know why she needs to be forgiven in her eulogy. So he outlines that very clearly. I don't think you'll have a difficult time reading that. This is not the hard stuff just yet. We'll get to that though. Much more difficult stuff ahead, but I have a feeling that you will handle it perfectly well. I've been teaching this course online every semester and every summer for over 10 years. So hopefully we have this down. My goal is to pass you and help you get whatever grade it is that you want in this class. But our course goals are to make sure that you understand the impact and the creation of meaning in rhetorical theory. Rhetoric doesn't just mean persuasion. Persuasion means persuasion. Rhetoric is about informing, persuading, and at the same time, it's about understanding the audience. It's about understanding the context, all the means of persuasion in any instance. So we are going to not just focus on words and language. We are also going to focus on the surrounding audiences, our different contexts. Some of the theorists will focus on what drives us to speak. Some others will focus just on the speaking situation, whatever that is, what we call the rhetorical situation. And you're going to be reading about all of these over the course of the next 16 weeks. So that's where our readings are, and that's where our readings begin. Now, what is it that you need to know beside that right this moment? Not really anything. Right at this moment, you have ideas about rhetoric. You've heard the term used, I'm sure, all around us, all the time. Perhaps in a derogatory way, perhaps you've heard it in terms of Aristotle. I do not know. But we've all had a different experience with rhetoric, and that's why I ask you that question. Is just, what do you think about rhetoric right now? What do you think it is before we delve into this? Can I promise you by the end of this that you'll have one single answer? No, in fact, I'm going to promise you that you will have multiple answers and maybe even more questions about what rhetoric is and how it functions. But the good news is this semester we have a major presidential election coming up. So tons of examples of rhetoric for us. Now, personally, I don't like politics, but it's my bread and butter. So I prefer in classes like this to focus on more interesting things to me, like, for example, a television show that I'm watching. I'm a huge Supernatural fan. That will come out in my lectures. I apologize to those of you who haven't watched it, but I'll make sure that I give as many examples as I possibly can. And examples outside of Supernatural, I mean. I prefer movies, I prefer music, I prefer poetry. These are the things that I like to analyze and think about whenever I am engaging in a rhetorical criticism. Now, you might be thinking, why do you walk around engaging in rhetorical criticisms? That makes no sense. And I agree. However, the idea of critical thinking, that is to say, to look at a piece of rhetoric, look at an artifact, as we call them. An artifact is anything mediated that everyone has access to, or people have access to, I should say, not everyone. But that it's available through various media. And I don't walk around looking to do a rhetorical criticism, but my brain, after this class, maybe your brain, cannot stop thinking about what the meaning of whatever is going on is. And yes, I am a horrible person to go to the movies with, especially if it's a movie like Inside Out or something relatively cerebral. I did make it through Deadpool and Wolverine without making even one comment to my husband about the structure of the movie or what message it was actually sending or anything like that. I am able just to enjoy myself sometimes. But a lot of times when I hear messages, I automatically start thinking, how is this working? What is it that's making this persuasive or not? What is making this enjoyable in some way or another? What is sort of drawing me to this particular experience? Deadpool and Wolverine, literally I have one answer, and that is Ryan Reynolds. I will watch anything with Ryan Reynolds in it. Yeah, I'm a fan. I love his work. So it doesn't hurt that these guys are now my age and we keep making jokes about it. And if you saw Deadpool and Wolverine, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's an acquired taste. Deadpool is an acquired taste. I'm not going to lie to you. But I constantly am engaging in critical thinking about the messages that I'm receiving. I wish I thought more about the things I was saying before I said them sometimes, but for the majority, I do encounter advertising and podcasts and music and YouTube videos and all sorts of artifacts out there that I engage with on a critical level. And I'm going to be asking you to do that once, really, in this class, and that's for your second paper. So if there's a particular work of art, a particular artifact, a particular speech, a particular song, lyric, what have you, that you find interesting over the course of the next, let's say 10 weeks, then you might have a topic for your second paper already. Sometimes we watch something or we see something and it just screams at us, this is begging for analysis. People make fun of me for this one. I don't like Twilight. I never liked Twilight. I know it's a horrible thing and it's okay if you do. Although I think we're past the Twilight stage, right? But if you are a fan of Twilight, I apologize. But for me, the entire series sets back feminism about 50 years. I'm really not a fan of the character of Bella and how she, in my mind, manipulates men. So I would make the argument that Twilight sets feminism back 50 years, and that's probably not a good thing. And I don't think we should be engaging that kind of thing. However, people have written papers trying to convince me of otherwise, and whether they're successful or not, it depends on how well their paper is written as to what grade they get. And so the paper rubric that's available to you already for you to look at if you want to will tell you exactly how to get a good grade from me, if that's your aim. If your aim is just to pass, it will tell you how to pass and how to do the papers the way that you need to do in order to earn enough points to pass the class. So those are the major assignments we're going to be doing in here. Not a big deal, really, as far as work goes. The big deal is the reading. I cannot emphasize enough that my lectures will not be repeat of what you see in your book. They're going to be supplemental. Okay, so they're just going to sort of help you sort through the readings. I will highlight for you what's important by all means, but do not rely just on the lectures, old or new. If you don't read the book, it's not going to work out for you. It's not going to be easy for you. If you're asking why are the exams at home or in an office or in a lab or wherever it is that you're going to take these exams, why do I give you a week and make them open book, open note, open lecture, open whatever? Well, because sometimes the most important skill that you can learn is where to find the right answer. And I can tell you right now that there are things out there in the world where you'll type it into Google and it will give you an answer that is not anywhere near the answers that we're going to find here in the class. There's a multitude of reasons for that. It's not just I'm Dr. Dudash Muskirk and that means my way is the highway. That's not what it's about. It's about all of the study that people have done and the credibility of the information that you're going to get. So if you Google what is Aristotle's definition of rhetoric, you're going to get a lot of answers, a lot of wrong answers, and then you'll get one right one. And it's your job to figure out what that right one is, and obviously I just told you, so it shouldn't be that hard. But the reason why I do it this way is because I don't believe that memorizing anything helps anybody. But if you know where to find answers and you know how to evaluate the credibility of that source, that is definitely valuable for you when you get out into the workplace or you go on to grad school or whatever it is that you plan to do after you graduate. So in this class, we will have 2 papers, 3 exams, and lots and lots and lots of reading. So to begin, let's start by reading Gorgias. Some people call him Gorgias, and if you want to call him that, that's fine too. And Gorgias, his work on Helen of Troy is a way of reconstructing her memory. What is a eulogy supposed to do? It's supposed to set out the place of the deceased into our collective experience and memories. In short, the eulogy can be someone's immortality, the way that we're going to remember them. So it's kind of a big deal, yeah. People did not like Helen. People blamed Helen for the Trojan War, and Gorgias sort of defends her here. So that's what you're going into when you start reading. If you have questions, if you have concerns or anything else aside from emailing and texting me, I will go ahead and maybe make a discussion board if I can on Brightspace. I'm still learning Brightspace. I just started using it this last summer and I feel pretty confident, but I may start a discussion where you can just ask a question and anyone can answer it. I can answer it or your peers can answer it. Maybe they have an answer that works better for you. And I will check in on that. And if I don't get back to you fast enough, what should you do? Send me a text. Hey, I need you to check Brightspace. And I will go and I will do that. So hopefully you will be able to keep track of your grade as much as possible throughout the semester. However, your final paper is worth 300 points. It's a huge, or is it 400? It might be 400 points. It's a chunk of your grade. So it's very difficult to know what your status is. All I can promise you is that I will keep an eye out, and if I see that you're struggling and you're not reaching out, I will try to contact you and just sort of say, hey, are you dropping this course? Are you staying in the course? And I promise you by the drop date, I will let you know if you need to drop this course. That doesn't happen. I don't think that's happened yet, where I've had to drop people before the drop date or recommend it, because I want you to pass. I want you to get through this course so that you can move on to the next stage. And I know for some of you that's graduation in December. So very excited for everybody who, by the way, is going to graduate in December and obviously next May. So let's get this done. We've got 16 weeks together. You've got your outline and your syllabus. Let me know what I need to do to help you throughout the semester. Otherwise, you will get another video from me that is just content coming up on Thursday. Have a good first week. I will be in touch soon.